mean, if you don't need it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Murfreesboro music scene, if I can speak right, here on site today with our featured band of the week. We are here today with Black Sky Tribe. We are joined here today on to our left, Michael Ashley Cloyd over there on the right. We got Jason Cotter in the middle, and Craig Allspaw on the far right. So thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
For this interview. We really appreciate you taking the time to answer some questions for us today.
Thanks for having us.
No problem.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. First question we like to always break the ice with is a little bit of the history of the band. So could you guys tell us what year did the band form? And is everybody here today original members of the band?
Yes.
Yes, we are all original members. I guess it was 2013 when we played our first shows together.
Halloween?
Yeah.
It was our first acoustic gig.
Yeah, it kind of started with myself and Mike. We got together. We've been friends for a long time, and the timing was finally right for us to get together and put a project together. And we were just going to write some acoustic songs.
Mm-hmm.
And, we did a couple of shows, just myself and Mike, and next thing you know, we've been asked to do another show as a full band. So we brought Charlie Fan, another friend of ours, into the mix, and Craig and another friend.
Well, a really interesting part of that story is
Also, they Rock for Paws, right?
Rock
Yeah.
for Paws. We did an acoustic thing before that, and Craig had seen footage of it, and me and Craig go way back in a few bands, like, as you know, and he called me out of the blue and was like, hey, because your band had just fallen apart,
Yeah.
and our former band we were in together had
This
just
was
fallen apart.
The former band was being
Question the Chaos.
Question the Chaos. Okay.
Yes. I had left the band, and they had continued on, and they just miraculously just fell apart right before the Rock for Paws show they were supposed to play. And so Craig called me up out of the blue and said, hey, would you be interested in having a bass with your acoustic set? And I was like, well, yeah, I knew Craig immediately would add something to it, just acoustically,
Yeah, I heard the song. I think you posted online. It was I See Yours. It's just acoustic guitar. I was like, hey, you want some bass on that? And then,
Right.
Then that Rock for Paws show came up, which is a benefit for Tennessee Death Row Dogs.
Yeah.
And anyways, yeah, it worked out to where myself and John Goodrich kind of shared the evening there.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, and with Craig interested, it was like the next logical step would be to get a drummer. So we got Charlie Fan on drums, and that was our first full band show. And I remember calling Jason and saying, dude, I think we got Craig Allspaw involved there. He's interested. This is going to change everything. And it did. And it turned out it did. And although Charlie was our original drummer.
Charlie's a road guy, so his schedule didn't allow him to be a full-time member, so we had to move on. And we ended up going with a guy named Vincent Russo to record our first CD. Played several shows with Vince, and
Vince actually called an ad we had put out for a drummer that could sing, because me and Jason's demos had a bunch of harmonies on it, and so we needed another voice. Craig doesn't sing, and he called the ad, and he had a great voice. He actually was a big part of our sound, and we made our demos, and then we recorded our first album with those harmonies in mind, and that's what we sound like now. So
sure.
But Vince was a great drummer and a great singer, and he ended up having to bail out on us due to back problems.
Okay.
So we ended up with ultimately Jim Phipps from Every Mother's Nightmare, among other bands. So
which unfortunately we couldn't have Jim here tonight, but Jim does play drums, and for those people who are watching tonight or who are watching this video, Mike is vocals, and Jason does guitar, and Craig is the bassist. So it is, as of right now, a vocalist, guitarist, bassist, and drummer lineup, correct?
We did have a background vocalist, but she found the love of her life and moved to Georgia.
That would be Cindy.
So.
Yeah.
We missed you.
Yeah, we missed her too.
Cindy.
I tell you what, when Vince left the band, he was that third harmony there, and we felt a little lost for a while until we found Cindy, who is an amazing gift, a vocalist. I mean, she was able to sing perfect harmony with me and Jason.
Yeah.
Amazingly gifted harmonizer. And we wrote the new album, and she recorded the new album with us. And
Yes.
met the childhood or high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
And fell in love, and we wish her all the best. And I couldn't.
That's fantastic.
She's a wonderful person, so we're very happy for her.
We're happy too. We actually did get to see you guys play in Nashville, the acoustic show where Cindy did play the live set.
That was her
with
first show with us.
Fantastic
actually,
show
at Mad Donna.
We had actually, she had out of the blue called me and asked me if there was any way we could ever sing together. She's come to our shows over the years and always been a big friend, and seen her band. And she's an amazing singer, but and I was like, well, we're looking for a female backup singer for our acoustic show, ironically. And so she learned the set in like less than a month, and we played that acoustic set you guys were at, and after the show we were all like, oh my God, we want to sound like that all the time.
Well, after the first rehearsal, I was like, man, she's got to join the band.
We need to make this happen.
I thought that too, but we didn't really ever discuss that, just in case. We just didn't. We wanted that to be a one-off show, but after that night, it was just
she nailed it.
She nailed it, and she nailed everything on the CD too. Me and her did our vocals simultaneously, and so she is literally harmonizing to me, in the studio, and it's captured.
Wow.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
She's an amazing person.
Well, we send out our love to Cindy, who couldn't be here tonight, but has obviously contributed a lot to Black Sky Tribe. And
Absolutely.
So speaking of your, that album, your self-titled album, which is your second studio album, correct?
Yes.
You released that. It's your Black Sky Tribe self-titled album. It looks like it was released. Was it in June? Of this year, right? What does your new single, the song "Place of Serenity," does that have a specific meaning to each of you guys?
I'll let these guys answer first.
Cool.
Well, for me, pretty much the way we write is I write most of the music. Mike comes up with the lyrics, and then
melodies.
Craig and Jim add their spice on top of whatever we bring to the table. Place of Serenity, started out actually just as this riff that I like to just play on because it's so kind of hypnotic and trance-like, especially that verse part. So, and one day Mike comes over and we're hanging out and working on some songs, and I played him this tune, and he's like, dude, that's awesome, And
that's how most of our songs come out. I'm hanging out with Jason, and we've already had we're working on a particular song or whatever, and he just coming up with ideas. That was what I perceive as coming up with ideas, but he's just have all these ideas in his head that just come out at weird times, and I just happen to be there to capture it. It's like, ooh, that one. We write a song. He's already got the song in his head, and I just write lyrics to it. And
after that, we it was written in a couple of writing sessions, maybe tops, and then we took it to the band and fine-tuned a couple of things here and there, and there we go.
I will say Craig's bass line adds a lot to the song as well. All our songs are neat bass-wise, but I always thought that song with the harmonics that he's doing and stuff, it added another element to sing over, which I always thought was cool. But what does the song mean to you, Craig?
Well, I mean, you guys wrote it, so.
I'm just the bassist.
Well, his bass line is very cool, and like Jason said, it's kind of a trans.
It's a very meditative song, I guess you could say, and I think Mike's lyrics complement the music very well in that aspect.
I remember it reminded me of something from the '90s. Not Smashing Pumpkins, but Screaming Trees or something like that. And in the '90s, I was a very laid back guy, so I just kind of got real laid back and tried to write from that point of view. And ironically, the neat thing about that song, we typically write verse, chorus, verse, and then you got a bridge, which kind of changes the song a little bit and kind of maybe brings it all together. Well, I could not, figure out where to go with this song. Jason had his new bridge part, and I was like, the chorus is actually let life write itself for a while, let the music play on. And so I just got an idea of singing the chorus over that bridge.
Yeah.
And that's ended up making it really cool. It's like the same words and the same melody over a completely different part, and it's saying the same thing. And it's basically
Yeah,
saying
you get
let
to the middle
life
of the
write
song and it
itself.
becomes a different song altogether.
You know, don't
So-
overthink something. Just kind of let things write themselves. Sometimes that's where
Very cool. In terms of the writing process, what do you feel has made, writing the new album and producing the new album, what has made that better or different than, Goodbye Blue Sky, your first studio album? Has the process changed a whole lot, or has there been a different?
Yeah.
The process has always been really easy with me and Jason. We've always had that kind of brotherhood. Even when we first met, we just had never put a project together. We've always had that kind of I know where you're going kind of chemistry.
Mhm.
So that got better, I think, with the second album.
Just knowing and understanding each other. And,
Even better. I mean, before we knew, but the second we were rolling with it. It's like it's kind of hard to
He
believe.
usually
we
hears
recorded
what
this.
I hear in my head at the same time before I play it.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
So,
And and we had written the first album relatively quick too, so it's almost like it blows me away at how fast we came up with the new album, which I believe are a little better songs, from the lyric point of view. The first album was great, but and also dynamically, it's a better album, and then Cindy's vocals add to
Sure.
all of it too. So yeah, it's been a great product.
Yeah, putting the time in on it. I mean, because when the first album was written, we weren't together that long, and then
Right.
having that time of playing shows,
Mm-hmm.
and then
yeah.
Jason hadn't had a whole lot of studio time, and then we recorded that first one. That was definitely learned a lot of things.
We still
for
laid it
that.
down super quick, man.
Oh yeah,
David Duke's an amazing producer, and he's been able to capture us, and that's basically what we did in the second album. We just went there and played, and he captured it.
They recorded
Yeah.
both with him at Red Feather Recording.
Yeah,
That was
And-
I was going to wonder, did Goodbye Blue Sky and your self-titled, were they the same parties involved in the recording? and
same producer,
production?
same engineer.
Yeah.
Technically different building.
Same business, but the studio moved to a new.
Much.
He built a new studio.
Yeah.
So
hand built it from scratch.
Nice.
and if I can go back for a second, just on a personal note, for between the first and the second album, the first album for me, a lot of the material that was on the first album was material that I'd had laying bits and pieces or whole, the whole song. I'd had laying around for a long time. So a lot of that music was already written, and it was just a matter of Mike and I getting together and
like I said,
adding
just picking his
thing.
brain
Yeah.
until we had a whole set.
And then, bringing the band into the mix, which, after you write a song, you take it to the rest of the band and the whole song changes again.
It can, yeah.
Sure.
Because Craig does all this stuff that I've never even would have thought.
Never.
As far as a bass line in my head, it's like, holy shit, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But, so there was, the first album was a little easier in the writing aspect for me in that sense. And the second album, I felt a lot more pressure to produce just because it was all new material for me. And I'd never had to come up with new
He's a
material
workaholic.
to get a new record out,
Right.
on a timely basis. So, and then you've got, Red Feather Recording, David Dix's first studio where the first album was done was basically his basement. Little small soundproof room, not much to it. And we did it probably, I'd say less than 24 hours total in the studio. Whereas David, in the intervening time between the first and second album, David moved into a new place out towards Murfreesboro and built a huge new proper studio off site from the house, away from his house. And
spared no expense to detail. No
Really?
so
detail.
Nice.
the difference between one and the other is night and day. And like Craig said, we'd had time to gel as a band, and then you add Jim Phipps and Cindy into the mix, and Jim coming into the band changed us dynamically so much.
Riff-wise too, they got a little chunkier.
We're definitely a much more mature band for the second album.
Definitely.
I think the material, personally, I'm as proud of the material as
I really
anything
am,
I've
too.
ever written.
Yeah, me too.
I think
It's a
overall
great album.
it's a great album.
I mean, it is.
I'm really
It's
proud of it. And
fantastic.
We are too.
happy
Fantastic
to stand
album.
by it.
Yeah.
So who does most of the writing for the band? and what inspires you the most?
That's pretty 50-50.
Well, yeah, it's weird because Jason, like, I would say, write 97% of the music, and I write maybe 3% of the music with a riff idea or maybe a chord or something or a progression I show him. He usually takes it and twists it into his own creation. And then same wise, I write 97 or maybe 98% of the lyrics, and Jason.
When you get stuck on a word, I may make a suggestion.
Yeah,
what do I do with this line?
Right, I ask him all the time. Like, I'm stuck, and he'll do something like, "Whoa, that's great." And then other times he'll say, "Man, that one word, can we figure out a better way to say that?" So, and it turns out, he's absolutely correct. I'm always like, "Yes, I don't like that word either," and so, and he comes up with titles all the time, so. It's kind of a work in progress, but 98% lyrics me, 98% music him.
And then, as far as influence-wise, personally, I'd have to say my biggest influence is I'm a child of the 80s, so I grew up on that hair metal. Yeah. But, my favorite guitarists are like George Lynch from Dokken, Lynch Mob, KXM, etc. Jerry Cantrell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chris DeGarmo and Michael Wilton, Queensryche, and King's X, Ty Tabor from King's X. And if you took all that and threw it into a blender, that would probably be me.
Me and Jason, when we first met, I the first time I ever heard Zakk Wylde's Book of Shadows album was with Jason. He played it for me, and that pretty much changed my whole, because I was more into the Seattle thing growing up in Phoenix. I had really kind of gone into that whole Seattle sound, and then kind of went somewhere in the funk area before me and Jason met in 98 or something like that. And I always heard Alice in Chains in Jason, and he says the 80s, but I heard Alice in Chains and immediately, and Zakk Wylde too, just that whole dark chord thing, and immediately was drawn to the Alice in Chains already. And of course, Queensryche, I was into them when I was younger too, so we have a love for that
Dirt stuff. And Operation Mindcrime changed my life.
Yeah,
I love Dirt.
Same
like those 3 albums were just like game changers for me. Jar of Flies, Sap, for that matter. I mean, the entire AIC catalog, but in particular the first album is still their best.
I've got a lot of vocal influences and songwriting influences, and far too many to mention here. But I would like to give a shout out to Chris Cornell, rest in peace.
Yes.
He was one of my heroes, lyrically, vocally, songwritingly, whatever. The guy, I looked up to him, and it's sad to see him go. And sad that I'll never hear another new Chris Cornell song. But a lot of vocals.
He comes through in your styles. I mean, I hear a lot of
thank you.
Some Sully Erna, some Lane Staley. I mean, in terms of your
and Vanessa knows some of my heavier bands. Chad Gray, Mudvayne, Corey Taylor. Love all those guys. They don't apply to this band at all whatsoever. This is more of a melodic, dark melody. But I do find myself sounding a little more Queensryche lately. Jeff Tate kind of coming out, because I used to want to sound just like that guy, before the Seattle thing.
All right.
So it's weird to kind of come full circle a little bit. Pretty cool. What about you, Craig? You got any influences, music wise?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just, the 90s were definitely a big part, but, it goes back to John Paul Jones. That's, huge influence on me, bass playing, and obviously Steve Harris, but that doesn't really lend a whole lot to this band either, as far as that playing goes, but still is there, so.
Yeah. I have to say personally, just from a personal standpoint, it's always enjoyable for me watching Craig perform live on the bass. It's an enjoyable viewing experience. Yeah. You guys watching the video now have never seen Craig perform in Black Sky Tribe or any of his other previous bands. It's an enjoyable experience, and we definitely encourage you.
Craig is the most humble guy on the planet, so he is one of the most badass, just all around musicians that I know.
I've had the
And-
pleasure of being in a bunch of bands. He's also one of the most organized people I've ever met too, which is good
Well,
to
you
have
know.
in a band.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I've been in a couple bands where we were really bad at it. You know,
he is
Miss
definitely
Craig.
our center and our rock.
Yeah, if you get too scattered, you see some bands that are scattered all the time. They may, get a couple shows in there. Sometimes they never play shows,
Right.
but you really have to have some kind of focus there to get things done.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could collaborate with any musician, past or present, who would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a deep,
That's a tough one.
deep
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, I can go a lot of different ways.
Wow.
Let's
I was
start
like
with
Chris
Craig.
Cornell, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be my
Craig.
first guess.
You can take that one first.
yeah,
They can be dead or alive.
Past or present.
yeah, definitely Chris Cornell was a
Yes.
big influence on me. Also, man, is amazing songwriter and voice, and another person obviously would be Ronnie James Dio.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yes.
So
He seems
That's a
like a
good
cool
one.
guy to just
yeah.
sit down and.
Yeah, actually, I've seen Dio 3 times. And I met him once,
Did you really?
so I actually got to meet him in person.
Oh wow. Is he taller
Yeah.
or shorter than you?
Shorter.
Yep.
Yep, shorter, but really
So
nice
about
guy.
right.
So those would be my 2. So
He seems like a really.
Yeah, I'm gonna be selfish and pick 2 as well. I would have to say Doug Pinnick, the bass player from King's X, and Eric Gales.
Ooh.
And
Oh, yeah,
Eric
Eric,
Gales
yeah.
is kind of an unknown for a lot of folks. He's been around for a long time. He started out as kind of a rock and roll shred guitar player, and now that he's aged a little bit, he's playing blues, but he's literally one of the best guitar players on the planet these days. I could swear he's Jimi Hendrix reincarnated.
Wow.
If that gives you any sense
Yeah, he's amazing.
of how
really
good
do
this
go
dude
check
is.
out Eric Gales if you haven't.
So
Amazing.
those would be my guys, just because there's such soul to their playing and their music, and that's really what gets me off.
All right.
That's a serious loaded question. I really would have to seriously think about it. But off the top of my head, me and Jason, we also have a big Beatle influence. If I had the opportunity to write a song with Paul McCartney, I think that would probably
Wow.
be the most amazing thing, just to pick his brain a little bit
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
progressions, chords, and whatever he added would be amazing to whatever I could add to it.
Sure.
And
Or
of course,
Elton
Chris
John,
Cornell.
for that matter.
Oh yeah, man.
Great songwriters. There's a million of
British
them.
Invasion.
See, I'm a singer, so it's kind of hard to collaborate with another singer. It'd have to be a musician kind of thing for me.
Yeah, and
Of course, what the hell?
In
Jerry
spite-
Cantrell would be amazing.
Yeah.
Nice.
in spite of being a hard rock band, I think all of us have quite a diverse range of influences
Oh,
within
yeah, it
this
is weird.
band.
Yeah.
We ran into that question a few times, and it's weird.
Music
it's
is
all over the
so
place.
universal.
Yeah.
And in terms
It
of
really is, man.
where
Good music is good music. It doesn't matter what label you put on it.
Absolutely, yeah. One of my questions I would love to pick your guys' brains about, especially Mike and Craig being veterans of the Nashville music scene. What do you guys feel would be personal likes and dislikes, as a matter of fact, of being in a band in the Nashville music scene? What do you feel are some of the pros and cons to being in a band here in this
I'll
scene?
let you take that first, because I've got
Yeah.
something I want to say.
Pros, there are so many musicians in town. You can so many people play, and sometimes you'll play a show and it can be only musicians. And libraries, a lot of times people have the can be kind of judging feeling. You're seeing people out there, you're like but also it's still within Nashville still has that stigma. You talk to anybody not from Nashville and ask them about Nashville, and there's still country.
Yeah.
So I think of as country music, and I've told people for years that it's more.
There's a lot more to Nashville
Yeah,
than
way-
country
yeah,
now.
It's music
Way
city, not
more.
so much just
Yeah.
country music,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
It's been Music City for a long time, but it's still country music, and
Yeah.
but the scene since I've been around has been kind of a roller coaster, and unfortunately I feel like now it's really low.
Yeah.
Really?
You know, with
Yeah.
bands, not as many as there used to be, and not in. I think one of the big problems is there's not like a one spot to go to.
Right.
Mhm.
Like when we had the Rutledge, that was
Yeah.
the spot.
A center spot.
Yeah, when the cannery was there, that was the spot. You go there every weekend, and something would be happening there. People would be hanging out there. It was the spot to go, and even like the Outer Limit.
Yeah.
It was another place that was kind of a spot for a while, but right now it's all kind of scattered.
Hit and miss.
And if you want to play a good venue, it's pay to play in Nashville now.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
There was a
if
time,
you wanna-
man, when Nashville, because of its, only pros play Nashville. I mean, it's literally what I used to tell my friends back home is it's like Hollywood of the music business. Like literally everyone you can think of is here randomly because if they're anybody.
Yeah.
And so that has that stigma to it. So it kind of weeds out a lot of the garage bands that we would have back home or whatnot that you would be exposed to.
And we have a lot of those here.
But
nowadays,
if you can have some
of
success here, that's saying something.
Yeah, I mean,
Even
and
locally.
you can be proud to be a part of the scene, and echo what Craig was saying. At one time, you could go in any given night, and I'm talking any given night: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You could book a show with a band you'd never heard of, or go see a band you never heard of, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, why isn't this band signed?" Like it was so congested of amazing, talented. Tight bands with good songs and good-looking guys, and why isn't the industry taking notice? I mean, this is just like a Seattle scene here in Nashville, Tennessee, is a Music City. Like, why is it not? Why aren't bands not taking off? And you had your few, Paramore, and a few bands take off.
Yeah.
But a lot of bands fizzled out because you can only get so big. And have so much success and keep a band together for so long that, and people get older and start new bands, and I've been blessed to have been a part of an amazing scene. Have some amazing memories and met some amazing people, and thank God for that, because right now it seems to be a little slow.
So would you guys say that the good parts of the Nashville scene are also some of the bad parts? It's
I think
kind of a
lately it's
double-edged
just
sword.
happened lately, man. It's like they started closing up the clubs, man.
Yeah.
Somebody in politics here in Nashville
Gentrification.
and apparently a lot of a lot of companies have moved to Nashville. So I heard at one time 100 people a day are moving to Nashville, and they're building supposedly.
And complaining about the music.
Yeah.
I saw that too. Some of these people that are moving closer to the Ascend Amphitheater are complaining about it. It's like, well, why'd you move there?
You moved to Music City and then you complain about the music.
Yeah.
Well, it just makes no sense to me.
In 2015, Nashville built 400,000 apartment units. In 2016, they built 400,000 apartment units. In 2017, they're supposed to be 400,000 apartment units. By 2020, there's supposed to be like 900,000 apartment buildings to
accommodate
how many people they were supposed to be moving here for jobs and stuff. I'm trying to figure out where these people work.
Right.
They can only fit so many people in
Healthcare
Nashville.
industry.
Yeah.
So it's a little crazy, and I know there's big money in Nashville. Nashville's booming, and it's a wonderful thing for the city, and Predators went to Cup, it's like,
right,
and
all
we have
those other
Titans, and
things that are
it's an
outside.
amazing city, and just, you never know who's gonna walk in your show. You never know who's gonna be walking into the coffee shop, and it's a neat stuff. But we need to build it back up.
Yeah,
something needs to happen. The club needs to open that will book a rock band and won't make the band pay $500 to play.
Yeah, if a band wants to have to make any money really, they have to leave Nashville.
Well, you could used to build up a fan base in Nashville and outskirts, and play outskirts, and like not play too much, and then people would actually come to your show, and you would make some money, and maybe make enough to go out of town a little farther next time, and have a little guarantee because you've got a little name for yourself. Yeah. we haven't had much success on that. We've been limited to play with Jim a few times, but there's just not enough places to play to generate the fan base.
Regardless of all that,
In Nashville,
there's still just the original reason that you start doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
That's the pure joy of being up on that stage and playing your songs in front of your
delivering
fans.
something that's you're passionate about.
Ultimately, that's what it's all about, and that's what's important. And I'm happy just to be up on that stage every time we get up there, regardless of the politics of the scene.
Yeah, it's been a great experience with Black Sky Tribe. I don't want to downplay that. We're having a lot of fun and meeting new people all the time. It's just the old scene was a little different. We're working with it, and we're gonna continue writing music and playing. So, we just gotta find a club that we all go to every now and then and hook up.
So, what advice would you give bands that are just starting out?
And there's a lot of them.
They
seem to be popping up.
A lot of bands popping up. And there's a lot of advice.
Don't half-ass it. If you're gonna do it right. Make sure you come out tight, sounding good, looking good. You see so many bands nowadays that come out looking like they just got out of bed. They've got on their jeans and their flubby shirt. And if you want to go for the grunge look, that's cool. But you gotta give your crowd something to look at.
Mm.
And you've got so many bands that don't they want to play their music, but they don't want to give you a show these days.
Right.
So
one thing I've
put in the extra effort.
That's good advice, and I've noticed like a lot of younger metal bands, they put the time in to write something, and it's usually blast beats and screaming and whatnot, and they put some effort into it. But I would like to see them, before you play to your friends, or you play to your friends, that's fine, but before you play Nashville, let's think about what you're writing from a dynamic point of view, and not just pure aggression. And that's just metal bands. I mean, we write rock bands too that are amazing players. And my advice would just don't be intimidated by Nashville. Just get out there and play. That's kind of contradicting what I just said, but you know what I mean. You don't want to overthink it either.
Yeah.
I like to see bands out there that have confidence.
Yeah. Like, be confident in what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Get out there and rock it.
Exactly.
What about you, Craig?
I think that pretty much sums it up right there.
Have somebody like Craig take care of the money.
Hire Craig.
He can be the organizer.
He's our bass player. You can't have him.
Right. Yeah, band managers are always good. Just make sure they know what they're doing. I've been through that.
That title and manager and promoter and things seem to get tossed around very loosely.
Yes, they do
around here.
That's all we'll say.
And in Nashville, you run across some types that see your band and see some dollar signs, and they may have a contract that they've printed out. Doesn't mean they know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
Don't sign a contract with somebody that you are going to be stuck with.
Not to mention, this day and age, you can do it yourself for little or nothing.
Yeah.
And have it sound amazing. I mean, we did both our CDs on a shoestring budget.
Are you signed?
No.
We
did it all ourselves.
As a testament to
second album,
some of these
self done.
Yeah, Mike did the artwork. We recorded everything. David Dix recorded and mastered everything at Red Feather.
And may I suggest too that in terms of networking, some of these local bands, some of these newer up and coming bands, to network with some of the veterans of the industry and stuff, because Mike, you do stuff that is some of the graphics and stuff of the artwork and things like that. I mean, this is a tremendous opportunity for people who are up and coming and that need artwork and that need some graphic work and things. I mean, there's networking opportunity. I mean, get to know.
I'd happy to help out any way I could. I'm pretty cheap. I'm actually a lot cheaper than some of the dudes in town. But as far as flyers
I think it still
CD
helps.
Artwork, whatever.
Still helps to have actual physical flyers.
Yeah.
To pass out to hand
it
to
really
somebody.
does.
I just keep them.
Agree.
my pocket or in the car, or I see somebody can physically hand it to them. So I think that's probably one mistake a lot of bands make, is they rely solely on Facebook.
The social media, digital era of things, and not so
regarding
much,
Facebook and media. One thing that I pride myself on, and every band I've ever been is been pretty important, is branding. The reason I make a flyer or two for every show that we make is so that you see our logo and you remember that image. You know what I mean? Like if it's a cool skull or whatever, and it's got our logo on it, next time you see our logo, you're going to remember that logo.
Sure.
And bands can do that. Like in Shadows of Light, we had a logo, the SOL logo, and we had Charlie Fan had the lights that would project our logo up on the back of any wall that we played at.
Yeah.
And so,
just because your promoters doing a flyer doesn't mean you can't do your own for your
right.
band as
We
well.
would take a picture of the SOL logo up there on the wall that was creating a light, and all it did was put a shadow or shadow behind the word Shadows of Light, and you got Shadows of Light brand right there.
Yeah.
It's just it's important to put your logo out there in a memorable way, and that way it looks cool with other bands' logos, and it's good to associate it with something else too, like everything's been done, but you can figure it out.
Yeah, customize.
So here's a fun question. If you could compare your music to a drink, what would it be and why?
Our music to a drink.
A drink.
I'm assuming this could be like an alcoholic drink or a nutritious drink, or
like Dr. Pepper or something,
or V8 or something. I don't know. Just anything.
I want to say a shot of absinthe or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like a mellow buzz, but it's got a little kick to it too.
Passed out on the table.
Throw it up.
Yeah, I was thinking more like a big, nice, fat loaded bong as
there you
opposed
go.
to a drink.
Yeah, a large part of our catalog has been written while consuming.
Partaking.
Yes.
That's the magic, Why mess with the
it's
magic?
420 somewhere.
There you go.
So, yeah.
That's
wow, that's a tough one.
That's tough.
A shot of absinthe. I've never had absinthe, but I've heard some amazing things about it.
Oh,
I mean, just
dude.
because of it's such a specific type of thing to consume. Like you have to consume it a certain way. And
Well,
so I've never
as we get to our age, we become kind of not
alcoholics.
Connoisseurs of alcohol. Is what I was
Speak for
trying to
yourself.
say. Right, is what I was saying. And I know certain, gives certain buzzes. Certain alcohols give certain buzzes.
Yeah.
I like Jaeger buzz. I don't like vodka buzz. And I don't like tequila buzz. I've had them. I prefer Jaeger buzz. Your absinthe buzz is very Jaeger-ish, and it's like it's got opiates in it, so it fucks you up. At the same time, you're just like, wow, let's
Right.
go.
Yeah.
It's a great buzz. You just, from what I hear, you don't want to take too much.
Right. Shot of absinthe.
What about you, Greg?
Yeah, I can't think of any drink specifically that would be.
What's your drink of choice?
Mainly beer, but I'm pretty much open.
I was
If
always
it's
a
got
Long
a
Island
flow,
tea guy
flavor.
when I was a heavy, in my heavy drinking days. These days, a night of heavy drinking is a couple of bottles of Angry Orchard, and that's enough for me.
Yeah, partied out.
So, I'd have to say, we're not quite like a Long Island iced tea, because that really just fucking kills you, and we're not quite that heavy.
It did, man. I remember my
Purple Hooters here. No, I'm just
There you go. Okay, I can get behind that. Yeah.
I don't even know what's in
Fighting
it.
cock.
don't even know what's in it,
Coke.
but
Yeah, whiskey and Coke.
there you go. It's rock and roll, man. Jack and Coke. There you go. Rest in peace, Lemmy. Right.
Yeah.
Final question for you guys. If you want, just tell us where we can find you on social media and where folks can purchase your merch.
Yeah, we're on Facebook, facebook.com/Black Sky Tribe. We have a YouTube channel, just search Black Sky Tribe. We're on ReverbNation.com/Black Sky Tribe. You can find our music pretty much anywhere that you can buy
Spotify.
music online. iTunes, Google, Spotify, CD Baby. And if you
Amazon
want to buy
is-
physical copies of the CD,
Amazon.
you can get those through CD Baby as well.
And Amazon.
So,
And Amazon.
as well.
And Amazon.
And Amazon. Are there that's terrific that you guys are on all those, because I mean that the digital era of music streaming and downloading
Yeah.
is the thing now. So that's great that you guys are on all those platforms. What about any upcoming shows with Black Sky Tribe? Anything in the foreseeable future that you'd like to?
Things are sort of in a little bit of a lull right now, just because our drummer Jim is in the midst of a move.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got a show coming up in Murfreesboro at Main Street on December 2nd. It's going to be a benefit show for Toys for Tots.
Saturday night.
I have not seen the lineup
Nope.
yet, so I'm not
idea.
sure who else is on the
You're
bill
playing
for
it, at
that
least.
yet. So
We
we'll
are-
be there.
we are
We'll be-
So
confirmed.
you should be there too.
Definitely, and that's all we got confirmed right now. But we're gonna try to maybe squeeze something in before then.
Yeah,
if we can.
if we're lucky, it's pretty customary for us to do like a Halloween / my
Yeah.
birthday show around the end of October.
It's
So
an October show.
Or it might be a party here. You know.
we're gonna have to see if we can make that happen.
Right here in the living room.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe stream a acoustic birthday performance from the
That would
living
be cool.
room.
Yeah, it would be cool.
So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Well, fantastic, guys. Again, everybody here watching tonight, Murfreesboro Music Scene featured Band of the Week, Black Sky Tribe. We've been here tonight with Mike, Jason, and Craig. Thank you guys again so much
Thank you.
for
Thank
taking
you.
the time to talk with us today. So everybody, follow these guys on social media, buy their music, support them in any way that you can, and stay tuned for more Black Sky Tribe news as we learn about it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Guys.